Chair Peterson and committee members, I'm Bill Clarke. I'm here for Washington REALTORS, unfortunately in opposition to the bill, and I am seeing the prime sponsor in a few days and a number of you to talk about this issue. I think I agree with Ryan's comments that the TOD issue is probably the most important housing issue, no offense, Rep. Bateman. Given the, and Rep. Barkus. Given this kind of the scale and the scope and the complexity and the magnitude of these projects and the capacity that you can bring in terms of housing supply, and that's why we think it's important to really get it right. I think our concerns with the bill include the fact that the zone density levels are lower than what a number of cities already have. The affordability requirements are much higher. And so, for example, in a place like Federal Way, which has a light rail stop planned for Sound Transit on 320th, you know, they have much higher zone density. They have a 5% affordability requirement for projects over 25 units, and yet they're not getting any large-scale TOD projects going forward, even with a 5% affordability requirement, and this bill would require 10. So we're trying to understand really what's going on at the local level to understand what would work, both to marry supply with affordability. There were a couple pretty interesting studies that came out in the summer and fall of last year that I'll forward to the committee. I won't give you the full summary of those studies, but I think they're instructive on how to tie the affordability issue with the supply issue. Finally, the other issue I'd note, I think try to be on a positive note, is Section 5 has a pretty interesting process through JLARC to look at what is happening with housing supply and affordability as to TOD projects. That study would run and be done in 2035. The bill itself, I think as noted, wouldn't be implemented until 2029. We think that because cities are in the midst of their GMA comp plan updates this year, we will see by the end of 2024 what levels of TOD zoning has occurred at cities that have the major transit facilities, and be able to look at that at a high level of detail during 2025. That is, what level of upzones, what level of affordability, what are the development regulations that might be impeding TOD projects. Look at that in detail during 2025, kind of following some of the metrics that are in the Section 5 JLARC study, and then learn from that to do legislation at some point after that. You could still do that and still beat the 2029 timeline that's in this bill, at least for the central Puget Sound counties. So that's at least one idea to try to move forward, to try to deal with the variety that we're seeing both on the supply issues and in some areas the lack of supply issues, and then the mix of affordability requirements or not that we're seeing in a lot of the TOD jurisdictions. So I appreciate Rep. Reed's work on this. This is a really hard, really complex issue. Just taking it on, I think, says a lot about the importance of this issue. So we look forward to working on it. Thank you.